On October 16th, 2014, a user would visit 4Chan's paranormal board in hopes of putting an end to his anxious thoughts. He would start by discussing a childhood memory, a winter vacation trip that he took with his family. However, something happened. Something happened to him, his sister, his entire family. But only his brain managed to repress it. That was until now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Cabin Memories. Okay, X, I need to talk to you about something and tell my story. I'm telling you right now, don't expect any sort of satisfying conclusion, barring a major breakthrough. Also, if updates come slowly, it's because I was told by my psychologist to take my time and get every detail I possibly can. There will be some parts written that will be more for setup than anything else, and the green texted parts will be, quite literally, flashes taken from my memory. This whole ordeal takes quite a bit of concentration, so please, bear with me. When I was 8 years old, I had a gap in my memory. This gap was a little over 12 hours, and took place during a family weekend at our cabin in a state park. I could remember waking up in the cabin on our second day there, early in the morning, to go snowshoeing. Then, I remember pulling into the driveway of our home later that night, with my family who were all dead silent, and me feeling terrified. I had nightmares for 2 years that would wake me up, screaming. My sister did too. My parents were never mad at us. They were very understanding, and never asked what the nightmares were about. I never asked my sisters about hers, because I knew in my gut that we both dreamt about the cabin and our final weekend there. That's all I could remember about them. They were about the cabin, I was running, and nothing else. It got to be too much for me after 2 years, having this gap, not remembering. I finally built up the courage to ask my dad, "Why don't we go to the cabin anymore?" I remember the look on his face. The blood had completely drained from it. He looked horrified, then angry, then confused. He asked me,
"You don't remember?"
His voice was quiet, a whisper. I just shook my head. No. He looked relieved. He put a slightly scared-looking smile on his face and said,
"There was a fire and it burned down. It was pretty bad and you were young and scared. Your brain must have hid the memory of it from you so you wouldn't be scared anymore."
My brain can do that?
Yes, your brain can do some funny things. It's all to help you though, so you don't think about it anymore.
Okay. That was it. It was my dad. No reason for him to lie to me, except about Santa Claus. Of course I believed him, and I would have gone on believing him if I didn't overhear him that night. I had a TV in my room and a bedtime of 9 p.m. at that time. My sister, being 4 years older, would get to stay up later. One of my regular habits would be to watch TV after I went to bed, by muting it and putting the captions on. So that night, I did the same thing, and when my father thought I was asleep, I could overhear him talking to my mother and sister. I won't bother you with the whole conversation, just the important parts.
He doesn't remember. Repressed, probably. I told him there was a fire and not to dwell on it. If he asks anymore, tell him one of our lanterns got knocked over when we were setting up dinner.
I didn't sleep that night. Hard to do so when you find out your whole family is conspiring against you, and you don't understand why. And at 10 years old, I was too damn afraid to confront them again. The years went by. I did my best to forget that my family was lying to me. I really was too afraid to know what happened. The nightmares kept up, but I got better at dealing with them. I stopped waking up screaming by the time I turned 11. The year I entered high school, my grandma had a stroke, and my mom retired to take care of her. She was a state trooper for 20 years. My dad was one as well, and retired at 28 years. Their careers are somewhat relevant later. I started falling into depression around then, actively thinking about killing myself. I didn't know why, I just didn't want to keep going. My parents had guns, I knew where they were, quick and painless. I almost did it in my sophomore year, but I couldn't will myself to pull the trigger. I was 20 when I decided I had enough. My first girlfriend, which lasted 2 years, cheated on me, broke up with me, and I didn't see a reason to go on anymore. She knew about my past attempt and history of depression. She was the only one I ever told to that point. So she got scared and called the cops on me. I was put in a psychiatric institute for a week and was put in touch with a psychologist to help me. I'm sorry, I know that I'm going slow enough already, but this next bit is hard. I need a few minutes. By the time I met with my psychologist, I knew I wasn't a danger to myself anymore. I had decided that I couldn't do that to my family. And it wasn't some medical professional who made me come to that decision. It was my uncle. He owns a vending company and stocks the machines. One of his clients is the psych institute that I was in. He pulled me aside at lunch and begged me to do what I had to do to get better. He told me how my dad informed him of what happened to me, how he was sobbing uncontrollably, how, until my dad got the words out, that he was afraid that his brother was telling him that he was sick and going to die. That got to me. Not particularly relevant, but it's one of the most important moments of my life and helped show why I made some of the decisions I made after. So, I looked forward to seeing a psychologist. I wanted to figure out my problems and get better, so I would never even think of putting my family through that again. Doc was really nice, and I opened up to him immediately. We just sort of hit it off really well. Maybe it was my eagerness. Maybe it was because I felt like he generally wanted to help. Probably both. For 7 sessions, 1 a week for 7 weeks, I talked about my life and childhood, and everything and anything that I thought might be relevant, and even the stuff I didn't think was. I answered his questions as best as I could, and he sat and listened to me. It was on the 8th week that we finally touched on my dreams, and the blocked memory of the cabin. I don't know why he waited so long. I had admitted that I had trouble sleeping due to nightmares almost all my life in my 3rd session, and there wasn't a follow-up until now. Maybe he was just trying to get to know more about me, and get me more comfortable with him before he broached it. But broach it he did.
Let's talk about your nightmares. You've told me you've had them consistently since you were young. What are they about?
I can't remember them ever. Just little bits. I'm at our old cabin, I'm running, I'm scared. Nothing else. I told you about our cabin, right?
Yes. You said you spent a lot of time there when you were young. It sounded like you loved the place. Did something happen there?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. I can't remember. My dad says there was a fire.
You don't believe him?
No. He lied.
Why do you say that?
It was then that I related to him everything that you currently know. The lie my father told me, the agreement between my family to keep up the lie, and of course, the total block of what happened. A blocked memory of a cabin from childhood, nightmares since, family not telling me the truth, quote-unquote, for my own good, depression years later, and a suicide attempt. I was every psychologist's wet dream, and I knew it when I saw Doc's eyes that he had written this up to one of 2 things. 1, I was molested. 2, I witnessed a murder. Or 3, both. Don't think it hadn't crossed my mind. I had pretty much written that off as what happened, especially once I started unblocking pieces of that memory, and parts of it fit. The more I remembered though, the more I realized that's not what happened. So don't go writing me off just yet. So, this is when Doc and I got to work. He had me start keeping a dream journal and writing as much as I could about the nightmares the second I woke up. We did meditations during the session and had me practice at home. He even took me to a friend of his who was a hypnotherapist, where I was told I wasn't susceptible to hypnotism, probably because I believe it's total bullshit. I threw myself at unblocking the memory with Doc's help. I was done running from it. I was done ignoring it. I even told my family that I knew the fire story was a lie, but they still wouldn't tell me a goddamn thing. My father actually almost took me off of therapy after that, which I knew was a risk, but I begged and pleaded not to. He finally relented, but still wouldn't talk about that day. At the advice of Doc, I even revisited the cabin once. I went in the summer and during the day, and it was a ruin and burnt to the ground. I had gotten pieces of that day back by then, and I knew there was no fire, and I have made the assumption that my father came back at some point and burned it. 4 fucking years. I did all of this for 4 years, and I still am. I don't have all of the memory back, just pieces. I have filled page after page, book after book, with details of my nightmares. Repeated and repeated until finally something new would come out. And that would repeat and repeat and repeat until another new thing came up. In those same journals, I would sit and write as much as I can remember after each meditative session. Doc and I don't know what happened yet. Not the whole story, but we're still piecing it together. I brought up sharing the details with you guys and seeing what you thought. He was initially against it because he didn't want your judgments and theories to cloud over my memories. After a while, though, he agreed to it on the condition that I don't jump on whatever you guys say. I reassured him that I have done too much work to buy into whatever explanation a group of anonymous people come up with. So, here it goes. Everything I remember, as accurately as I possibly can. Morning. Wake up. Parents asleep on the bed. Sister in sleeping bag next to me. Pull my snowsuit and snowshoes on. Go outside for a walk through woods. Sun shining bright off the pure white snow. Get walking. Clean smell. Crisp cold air. Crunching of snow beneath my feet. Stick to trail. Not too far. Reach tree with blue marker nailed to it. Go off trail to the right. Corpse of trees. Little snow fort sister and I built. Go inside snow fort. Add little things to it. Make-believe fridge and storage areas. Make beds a little nicer and smoother. Good work. Start making snowballs to pelt my sister with. Feel the cold snow between my now ungloved fingers. Carefully craft the perfect snow spheres. Wrong. Something feels wrong. Bad smell. Rotting animal. Snow crunch. Think, sister. Snow crunch again. Noise not coming from direction of trail or cabin. Crunch. Smell gets worse. Dead silent. No animals. Nothing. Smell. Crunch. Crawl out of snow fort. Crunch. Silence. Laugh. Not me. Not laugh, but sounds like a laugh. Can't breathe. Smell. Crunch. Behind me. Turn. Laugh. Not me. Paralyzed. Horror. Can't see it. Right in front of me. Don't want to see it. Blank. 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 Running. Branches hitting me. Cutting cheek. Fingers ice cold. Numb. Crunch. Laugh. Not me. Smell. Behind me. Scream. Running. Cabin. Crying. Screaming. Running. Cabin door open. Parents run out. Sister too. Grab me. Hold me. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Can't talk. Crying. Laugh. Not laugh. Behind me. Crunch. 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 Parents. Sister. Look up. Scream. Blank. Blank. Screaming. Yelling. Inside cabin now. 2 laughs. Not laughs. Outside. Bang on door. Bang bang. Smell. Laugh. Not laugh. Screaming. Parents. Guns. Click. Click. Safety's off. Dad. Fuck. What? Fuck. Get away. Warning. Shoot you. Mom. Tears. Shouting. Can't hear. Sister. Screaming. Me. Numb. Numb. Laugh. Not laugh. Smell. Banging. Blank blank blank. Outside. Running. Gunshots. Bang bang bang. Screaming. Not us. Gunpowder smell. Bad smell. Angry screaming. Not us. Car door open. In car. Driving away fast. Parents, sister, me. Screaming. Crying. Yelling. Me. Not wanna look. Must look. See cabin. 1 figure. Person. Not person. Was 2 figures. 2 persons. Both not persons. 1 gone. Gunshots. Driving. Me. Paralyzed. Smell less. Angry screaming less. Not us. Blank. 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 Home. Driveway. Night. Scared. So, that's my story, X. From what I can tell, there was one at first, then another must have shown up, either before or after we made it to the cabin. I think my parents managed to kill one of them, or at least seriously injured it since I only saw one when we were driving away, and it sounded angry. I can't remember what they looked like exactly, other than they looked like people, but weren't. The exact features are lost in the blanks. They weren't people, I know that. If we were attacked by people, my parents wouldn't have been so goddamn scared. And they were both very distinguished and respectable police officers who retired with the respect of everyone they worked with. If someone attacked us, they would have reported it. Even if they killed one of them, they would have reported it as self-defense. I don't know what the fuck they were. I'm still trying to remember, but I don't know if I ever will. A family vacation goes horribly wrong, ending with the whole tragedy being completely blocked from his memory. Discovering that his family has been conspiring against him at such a young age, OP headed down a dark path as he grew older. Struggling to return back to a regular life, OP begins talking to a therapist for several years. He learns, unlearns, and helps process his emotions during this time. But yet, he still can't unblock this memory, even with a therapist's help. With that being said, finally, he throws caution to the wind and decides to go against the recommendations of his therapist, and he seeks anonymous help from strangers online. And somehow, in the mixture of all the theories about the event, ranging from Bigfoot to skinwalkers to Slenderman encounters, he ends up stumbling upon a discovery. Another user in the thread posted a screenshot from a music video by Aphex Twin, simply asking, "If OP is still here, could you tell us if they look like this?" OP here. As I said, I can't remember their features. It's lost in the blanks. That picture is making me really uncomfortable though, for some reason. And pictures never get to me. What is it? A movie still? OP begins to decline, but his curiosity gets the best of him. And after half an hour, he comes back. Fuck. I don't know whether to hate you or thank you for this. The mouth. The fucking mouth that smiled at me. It fucking smiled at me. In the video, when it was screaming at the lady, the shape of the mouth, the teeth, it's hitting something. I can see it smiling. I can see it smiling. I can see it screaming. Fuck, why can't I see past the mouth? There's something there on the edge of it. Alright, I just called Doc after hitting on the mouth, and he helped me calm down and guide me through it. If the recollection is especially strong as this one was, I freak out and can't deal with it on my own. I was able to see the mouth clearly, and now after Doc's help, I was able to see what was on the edge of it. The lips. The lips were blood red. Damn, I knew going to you guys with this was a good idea. The music video supposedly helped chip off a large chunk in his block, leaving OP disturbed. Disturbed, yet for the first time in his life, OP's journey was finally going somewhere. The thread, however, begins to fizzle out. Everyone is left to their theories as OP's responses get slower. Some users attempt to derail the thread by pretending to be OP, so before he leaves, he establishes a plan to showcase when it is he who is posting, versus when a troll is posting. That's not OP, I am. I've decided that I'm going to include a picture of my watch with the current time with each of my posts. Don't see my watch in a post? Then it's not me. The breakthrough I had last night with remembering the mouth, I saw it in my dreams last night. I was able to see the teeth and remember them when I woke up. Despite the other guy not being me, he was kind of right. They were like shark's teeth. They were sharp and in rows. 4 to 6 rows? Something like that. Unlike a shark, they were clean. Eerily clean. Just pure white like the snow. And they were all perfectly positioned. Not a single one was crooked or missing. They were perfect teeth. I just want to say that I know the model of the guns not from this memory, but because I have seen and held them at other points in my life. I can't tell you who fired, what they look like while firing, or anything like that. It's just lost to me. Doc's tried that approach before. I can tell you the number of gunshots though. There are points in my memory where I can't see anything, but I can hear something. And other times where I can't really hear anything, it's all distorted, but I can see. And then there are times when everything is blank, and times when everything is distorted. Loud noise. Don't know what. 5 gunshots. 2 sound from left. 3 from right behind me. Pause. Fuzzy noises. Something loud. Shouting maybe? Screaming. Blank. Running. 3 gunshots now. Can't tell where they are relative to me. Maybe 2 more after that. And that's it for the shots. And the thread ends. 1 month passes, and OP returns. I'm back. I promised an update. Here it is. I confronted my family. We talked. I remember everything, and I wish I could go back to forgetting. That's it. Sorry, guys. Will you tell us about it, or is it too much for you? It's hard. The thing is that my family has been dealing with the events of that day and the things they saw for the last 16 years. They still had real trouble even forming words to describe things. It's all new to me, and I can't touch too close to certain parts without, well, dissolving into a mess. These creatures, when you looked into their eyes, you saw things. Things you can't imagine, don't want to imagine. Things you can't, just can't. I can't. I went into the forest. I was at the snow fort when the smell hit me. I could hear something moving. I went outside the fort, looked, and there it was. Not 5 feet from me. It was smiling at me. Red lips and lots of sharp pointed teeth. Its skin was dark. Not black, just dark. The eyes were green. I fell back, startled, and that's when I looked into its eyes. I went into some sort of trance state and I saw things. Horrible, evil, awful things. When I hit the ground, the trance broke. I wasn't falling for 5 seconds, but it felt like I was in that trance for years. I don't think it realized that I had come out of the trance. I got up and ran back to that cabin. It laughed that fucking laugh and chased me. Remember how I said I cut my cheek on a branch? That wasn't it. A second one of these things was waiting on the trail. I ran past it, and it made a casual grab for me. The fingers on the hand were like knives, and split the skin on my cheek so easily. I reached the cabin. My family was outside. They were asking me what was wrong when they saw those things come out of the trees. My dad picked up my sister and I with one arm each and ran to the cabin. He slammed the door shut and locked it, and he and my mom got their guns out. They were as scared as my sister and I were. They had no idea what the fuck these things were. We could hear them outside, laughing and banging on the door. They each put a few rounds through the door, and still that fucking laughter was there. Still, the door was banging. No one noticed it wasn't banging as hard or as fast as before. That's when the window shattered from behind us. One of them had gone around the back and broken through it, while the other had us distracted at the door. It slipped in. I don't know how else to describe it. It moved like a snake made of smoke. The fucking thing laughed and the one outside laughed. My parents said they looked into its eyes and they went into the trance like I did. While they were frozen, the other came around and slipped through the window as well. This one caught my sister's gaze, and she was lost. They didn't seem to need to keep eye contact to hold the trance. It was just one look, and it was done. Both of them were now moving toward us while trying to catch my eye, but I wouldn't let them. I didn't want to go back and see that again. They didn't move fast now. It was like they knew it was over and had no need to hurry. I remember how falling had jolted me up, so I shoved my dad as hard as I could from behind, and he fell forward onto his knees. That was enough. He shouted at me to get the door as he grabbed my mom and sister. The gentlest shove broke them out, and we were running out to the car. The creatures were moving faster now and came after us. They were still doing that laugh, right up until my dad turned around and shot one of them. He shot 3 times, and I turned my head back to see one of them go down. The one that was still standing looked angry and screamed so horribly, it made their laughs seem natural. We managed to get into the car, and my dad just floored it. I looked back, and the thing was still standing next to its fallen friend, brethren, and still, it screamed as we drove away. And that's how it ended. That's what happened. I won't go into any more detail than I did. It was hard enough to write what I got out. Thanks for listening. To no one's surprise, OP's journey in discovering his trauma with the help of 4chan users ends in misery. He finishes his update by stating that he's finished. He regrets his decision and wishes he could go back. He is left in confusion and struck with grief and fear. But the users of X pay no mind to feelings. They have a monster to find. Any way to describe what they look like? Reptilian, humanoid, skin, fur, scales, etc. Humanoid. They had skin, but it was weird. There were instances, like when they came through the window, where they were like smoke. Their heads were always there and always solid, but the rest of them changed. How about head shape? Humanoid? Dog-like? Reptilian? If you give enough a description of them, perhaps an art friend could do an impression, and you could say whether or not it looked like them. Head was humanoid. Thin face, sharp features, large mouth, sharp teeth, red lips, oval-shaped eyes, and pale green. No ears that I saw. Bald. I need some help here, OP. OP provides details about the monsters, and a user begins to sketch out some ideas. We shouldn't be making monsters for this guy. I'm not saying this is real, but I have a firm belief that if this guy doesn't want to remember the things he saw as a child, then someone shouldn't really try to create his description. Thank you. It's not so much that I'm trying to forget, though. It's what they made me see. And the first set of eyes is closest. Get rid of the pupils, though. The first head is closest. Change the nose to just 2 horizontal slits. As for hands, none of them. It was just like the arms ended in a series of 4 thin blades. Long. What they showed you, were they things humans did to each other? What they would do to you? Or things from another world or dimension? No. No, I'm not getting into that at all. Just a sketch. I guess we have a thing. Skin and eyes are wrong color. Put the mouth into a smile. That's damn close otherwise. And thus, we have a creation relatively close to what haunts OP's memory. But what the fuck are we looking at? Many users assume the monster was a skinwalker or a Wendigo, but this could be chalked up to the rapid popularity of skinwalker stories on 4chan at the time. For simplicity's sake, though, I will be referring to these monsters as skinwalkers. However, the term skinwalker is often thrown around, and is often loosely assigned to multiple different cryptids, from goatmen to werewolves. I would like to try and actually identify what this creature could have been. And yes, I know that there is the idea that OP is simply just lying.
You really think someone would do that?
And making up traits as the story goes along. OP's creature bellies out these uncanny laughs, which resembles a skinwalker's ability to mimic its prey. You'll find in many stories about skinwalkers that they always mimic another human's voice. The quality of the mimic, however, varies from tale to tale. He describes their skin as humanoid, and that they have long dagger-like claws, and whenever the monster was around, a smell of rotting meat swamped the atmosphere. But what dissuades this monster from being your typical run-of-the-mill skinwalker were some of the other details that he described. He mentioned its body was capable of turning into fog or smoke, while its head remained intact. He also described their teeth as having several rows. The biggest factor, however, are the eyes, that when looked directly into, locks its victim into a trance. In most media representations of this concept, the victim would become numb and non-respondent to their surroundings. But in OP's story, there's a brief idea that the monster doesn't just lock you in a trance, but it also forces horrific imagery into the person's mind. A user attempted to dig into that, but out of staggering fear, OP shut it down instantly. I combed through the internet, trying to find whatever cryptid this could be, but Googling hypnotic monsters just results in Dungeons & Dragons references, and Wikipedia's list held next to 0 results, with only one interesting theory being the Dover Demon, a monster spotted in the Massachusetts wilderness. However, back to the eyes, OP's monster had empty eyes, while the Dover Demon's eyes are reported to glow brightly. And also, the Dover Demon has no reports of mimicking voices or laughter. OP also states that he lived really close to Canada, and Massachusetts is still a bit of a distance from the border. I'm certain there could always be a monster in some form of mythological folklore that OP could be describing. Nonetheless, there is something out there in OP's universe. Something that hunts, taunts its prey with maniacal laughter, and dazed visions of horrific imagery before devouring them, though that last part is simply speculated. What do you think it could be? Could this be a fictional tale that OP chalked up on his free time and was too lazy to wrap up? If not, if you think this story was actually true, what do you think this being is? My concerns with this whole thing is, why would you come to 4chan to look for answers towards solving your trauma? I get feeling lost, but 4chan? And why bail at the climax of the situation? It felt almost as if OP didn't know what mess he was getting himself into by asking anonymous users on a Mongolian basket weaving website. So, Leave your opinions and comments down below, or don't, that's up to you. And I hope you enjoyed your stay, and I hope you have a great day. I've been your host, Time6, and this has been the Maverick Files.